Bill Freehan is one of those players whose greatness can be easy to overlook because he wasn't flashy. He wasn't chasing headlines, and he didn't spend his career bouncing from team to team. He simply showed up in a Detroit Tigers uniform year after year and became one of the finest catchers the American League has ever seen. Born in Detroit, Bill Freehan would eventually become the hometown star for the Tigers. Before he ever reached the major leagues, he was already making a name for himself at the University of Michigan, where he excelled in both baseball and football. The Tigers knew what they had and signed him, and after a cup of coffee in 1961 and another year in the minors, he took over behind the plate for good, becoming Detroit's everyday catcher in 1964. Now, catching is one of baseball's toughest jobs. Fans notice the home runs and batting averages, but the catcher is the one calling the game, calming the pitcher, blocking the plate, throwing out runners, and taking foul tips off every part of the body imaginable. Bill Freehan mastered every one of those responsibilities. By the mid 1960s, he had established himself as the premier catcher in the American League. He wasn't just a defensive specialist. During an era dominated by pitchers, he produced several outstanding seasons, including a 300 campaign in 1964, while providing rare power from behind the plate. He earned 11 All-Star selections, a total that still stands out among players without a Hall of Fame plaque. And year after year, he was recognized as one of the game's elite catchers. Defensively, Freehan set the standard. He won 5 straight gold gloves and became known for his sure hands, his leadership, and the confidence he inspired in his pitchers. Behind the plate, he was like having another coach on the field. Then came 1968. It was the year of the pitcher, and Detroit had perhaps the best combination of pitching and defense in baseball. Denny McLain won 31 games. Mickey Lolich became a postseason legend. But behind both of them was Bill Freehan. That season may have been the finest in his career. He reached career highs with 25 home runs and 84 runs batted in, while guiding one of baseball's great pitching staffs. His value was so widely recognized that he finished second in the American League MVP voting, behind only his teammate McLain, after finishing third the previous season. He remains the only American League player to finish in the top 3 of the MVP voting in both 1967 and 1968. The 1968 World Series against the St. Louis Cardinals produced one of the defining moments of Freehan's career. In Game 5, with Detroit facing elimination, Lou Brock tried to score from second on Julian Javier's single to left field. Willie Horton fired a perfect one-hop throw home, and Freehan blocked the plate, absorbed Brock's collision, and held on to the baseball and recorded one of the biggest outs in Tigers history. Detroit survived that game, won the next 2, and claimed the World Series championship. The final out of that championship also found its way into Bill Freehan's glove. A foul pop drifting toward the first base dugout settled into his mitt, and with it, the Tigers became world champions. His career didn't end with that magical season. He continued to be one of the league's most respected catchers into the 1970s, helping Detroit return to the postseason in 1972. Even as the years passed, he remained productive, occasionally moving to first base to ease the physical demands before returning behind home plate. One of the most remarkable partnerships in baseball history was the battery of Mickey Lolich and Bill Freehan. They started 324 games together, more than any pitcher combination in Major League history at the time, a record that stood until Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina broke it in 2022. It was a partnership built on talent, preparation, and trust. When his playing career ended after the 1976 season, Freehan had spent his entire major league career with one franchise. That kind of loyalty is increasingly rare. He left as the Tigers' all-time leader in games caught and held several major league catching records that would stand for years, including the highest career fielding percentage ever by a catcher until Dan Wilson broke it in 2002. His offensive production also ranked among the very best for American League catchers of his era, especially considering he played during one of baseball's greatest pitching periods. Retirement didn't take him far from the game. He became a broadcaster, returned to the University of Michigan as head baseball coach, and later went back to the Tigers as a catching instructor, passing along the knowledge that made him one of the game's very best. When baseball historians discuss the greatest catchers, names like Yogi Berra, Johnny Bench, and Carlton Fisk naturally come up. Bill Freehan belongs in those conversations more often than he is. He may not have received a Hall of Fame plaque, but those who watched him knew exactly how valuable he was. Quiet leadership, exceptional defense, timely hitting, and unwavering consistency defined a career that helped shape one of the greatest eras in Detroit Tigers history. I'm Mr. Baseball, and this has been Players, a Smell Baseball podcast.